Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Phil Shaw, spiritualist and trance medium, psychic, esoteric tarot reader, and Reiki practitioner. I trained at the Arthur Findlay College and the College of Psychic Studies under the tutelage of Gordon Higginson, Ursula Roberts, and Ivy Northridge, and I've been working professionally for 25 years, mainly serving churches and centres in London, Surrey, and the south coast of England. I live on the Surrey-South London border near Wimbledon, so the tennis championship, having just started, takes precedence in my life and everything else goes on hold, with the exception of Live with Spirit, which was too tempting an opportunity to decline. It's a great pleasure to be working once again with SPTV producer Richard James, so thank you, sir, for inviting me. Richard, who I've had the privilege of knowing for several years, is a long-standing friend of Wimbledon Spiritualist Church and regularly streams our Sunday Divine Service to Facebook and YouTube. He has also worked on several of our annual Spirit Seeker events at Bournemouth. So that's enough about him, and let's welcome some of this evening's viewers. Good evening, Terry Louise. It's really good to see you, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. And good evening to Suzanne Anderson, who is saying hi from Ayrshire in Scotland. Great to meet you, Suzanne. And also Natalie Bentley. Good evening, Natalie. Thank you for being here. And Cheryl Bedaniak. Good evening, everyone, says Cheryl, and good evening to you as well. Thank you very much. Good evening, Nicola, and thank you for being here with us tonight. And Paula Ni Chineide, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but anyway, hope I haven't, Paula. Hello, she says, can I have a reading, please? Hope we can get to you, Paula. Ashley, hello from Northern Ireland. Hello, Ashley. Nice of you to join us tonight. And Julie Rampton says, evening, Phil and Richard. Hope you are both well. We are, and thank you, Julie. Good evening to Christine Eady. Thank you, Christine, for being here. And Millie B. Yes, I recognise your name, Millie B. And it's good to see you always at our Sunday service and tonight. Chris Reese. Good evening, Chris. And you're calling us, or you're joining us from Wales, which is great. And good evening to Stacey. Stacey, thank you very much for joining us tonight. So I think we'll do a couple more and then we'll get on with the show. Okay. Good evening, Rebecca Whelan, and a lovely mauve purple heart. We send the same to you as well, Rebecca. And Myred O'Rourke. Hi, first time here. I'm from Belfast. Need some guidance as I'm very lonely and hurt. I'm sorry to hear that, Myred, but I will do what I can to help in any way. Janine Jones is saying hello from South Wales, and hello to you too, Janine. And finally, for the moment, Michelle Crow saying good evening, sir. You can call me Philip, Michelle, and it's good to see you as well. So now that we've said the hellos, just to explain that tonight I'm going to be doing a mix of evidential mediumship, psychic work, and also factoring in some single card tarot readings when I feel applicable and when guided to do so by my guides and inspirers. So my mission tonight really is to give you spiritual evidence and life path guidance that will provide strength, reassurance, and confidence in knowing that your loved ones, guides, and inspirers are helping you every step of the way, and that even in those darkest moments, they are ever present with their love and support. I would appreciate if you could respond to any message or information that I give you as promptly as you possibly can. And please don't forget to continue to support SPTV by sending, sharing this stream and doing whatever you can in your own way to promote Richard's work with the company. So now, without more ado, just before we came on air, I had a message from a gentleman who was very insistent to give his identity to me, and is trying to contact his um, granddaughter, who is either online or will be coming online at some point this evening. So if you're out there, you may recognize this description of your grandfather, which he gave to me. So he talked first of all about this granddaughter having recently either cut her hair or having had a different hairstyle than one that she's been used to for quite some time. He linked himself in some way to Birmingham. That may not mean necessarily that he came from Birmingham, but that there is some link in the family or connection to the city. He liked gardening. He mentions his love of roses and particularly the deep red rose. Physically, he showed himself to me as average height with slightly receding hair. He went prematurely grey. His wife preceded him to spirit. He was talking about Max, and Max is somebody that would still be here on the earth plane who he would have known. He would have known. He's also insistent about me telling you that he was a very keen sportsman in his youth. He made me laugh because he said he was very fond of wearing a white vest, and he also wore sleeveless cardigans with very bright patterns on them. He had a slight dialect to his voice. He also had, at particular times in his life, various back problems, and he was a very practical man and very meticulous with detail. So he was, as a younger man, he was closer to his mother than his father, and he also mentions a niece of his who went through a very difficult time. Now, if anybody can recognize any of that information, I'd appreciate you letting me know, even if it's not for you personally or somebody in the family that this would apply to. But it's a grandfather looking for his granddaughter, and I can give you the message for the granddaughter if she is here and if anybody responds to that. And good evening, Kim. Thank you very much for being on SBTV tonight. It's good to see you. So we'll just wait a moment or two for some. No feedback yet. Right. Okay. Jane O'Rourke. Thank you, Jane. So good, Jane. I'm just waiting to see your picture here, your thumbnail picture, and that gives me a stronger link. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. It's just Mr. Producer speaking to me, so I haven't gone dumb or deaf, so I'm ready to respond as soon as I see the picture of my message recipient. Ah, Facebook. Yes. Okay. Apparently, Richard's telling me that Facebook is not giving us her details. So here we are. Now this is Max is my mum, Maxine, right? Okay. And Richard, what was this lady's name? Jane. Jane. Okay. Okay, Jane. So Max is your mum, Maxine. Now, thank you. Can you accept any of the other information that I was giving, the description of your grandfather and his likes, dislikes, and any of the information? If you could let me know that, that would be absolutely wonderful. And it's important that I try and keep this link with your grandfather, who, yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to give you the message, Jane, and I hope this is applicable to you. He's saying, start believing in yourself and have the courage of your convictions. That everything comes to those who wait, and that you've certainly done your share of waiting. and he applauds you for that. And he also says they, meaning a third party, but doesn't mention them by name, will get their just deserts. And what you did, you really, really had to do. You didn't really have any choice. And he says he doesn't want you to continuously carry on regretting what you did. What's done is done. And be at peace with knowing that the situation will resolve itself once you accept the fact that you did what you had to do and now you've cleared what needed to be cleared. And I hope yes, you're saying to me, yes, I can take all this. I think it's my granddad. Good. Thank you very much. He's laughing because he mentions again the sleeveless checked cardigans that he used to wear and the white vest. So I don't know whether that's applicable and whether you can recall that when you were younger, perhaps, his dress sense. And he says at the moment, Jane, that you're either tidying up your room or getting rid of a lot of what he calls clutter, and that you're rearranging objects or particular items that are very important to you in your life in various different places in your home, that you decided that this was very good energetically to do this for your own well-being. So you started to move things around and restructure in your home. So I hope that is making sense to you as well. And he also talks about your psychic sensitivity, which he says may move into a greater awareness of spirit, as in mediumistic contact at some point. But he says you need again to gain this greater confidence in your own ability, which has always been quite fragile for you, but which you're realizing you can't now get very far forward without having that confidence because it's holding you back. So I hope you can understand what he's referring to there, Jane. And that's all very positive that he's telling me about this sensitivity of yours, which is becoming a lot more open and a lot more evident to you and your awareness of spirit. Even if you can't see them, you've certainly started to feel them around you and in your presence. So I hope you can accept that, Jane. And I'll just wait for another comment to hopefully appear on the screen. Nope. Okay. So not hearing any more from you at the moment, Jane. So, So apparently there's another message coming from you, Jane. So I'm just oh yes, I can relate to it all. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I have photos of him like that. Yes, I have been rearranging the home. Yes, I'm spiritual, but need more confidence at this moment in time. Thank you so very much. Great, Jane. Thank you very much. So it sounds as if that's a bullseye, which is really good to hear. So I'm pleased that is all making total sense to you. So thank you very much, Jane. Thank you for working with me, and God bless you. Thank you. So now let's move to the next person. So you can, Richard? Yes, thank you. All right. Now can I work with Mairead? I hope I'm pronouncing your name. It's probably completely different to what I'm thinking. But yes, I would like to work with you, Mairead. I'm linking with a young lady who you would have known on a friendship link at some point in your life. And I think I'm probably going back about 10 or 15 years. This lady would either have been somebody that you worked with or would have been a friend that you hadn't known for many, many years, but she came into your life and she seemed to create some sort of an impression upon you, which had a lasting impression upon you. And she would have passed to spirit fairly quickly through some form of, she's taking me to her lower stomach area and her lower back. So I'm in the area of the kidney, and I'm feeling that there would have been some form of malfunction in the kidney area with this lady, which would have taken her into the spirit world fairly quickly. So you wouldn't have known her for that long a time, but in the time that you did know her, there would, as I said, have been a very strong impression made upon you by her, because she's talking about her love of literature, of reading, of poetry. And she was somebody who would have kept herself to herself quite often. Although, if she met somebody like yourself, who she really felt she had a strong connection with, she would have given a lot of herself emotionally to the friendship, or to the person that she felt she could do that with and trust. But she's saying, by nature, I was quite a reclusive person, so I would have spent a lot of time on my own. And she said that the time I knew Myred, that that was a time of in my life of being able to share a lot more. It was very beneficial to me to be able to get these feelings and these emotions. And Myred, you're saying yes, you know who she is. That's very good. Thank you, Myred. Because she says she hasn't had a chance to come through yet, and to really thank you for the contribution that you made, even though you may have thought that that contribution was minimal in terms of your contact with her. Because she said, I was very choppy and changey. She said, sometimes I would say, yes, let's meet. I really want to meet. And then at the last minute, she'd back off and hold back. And she'd get really scared and think, I've said too much. Maybe I shouldn't say as much as that to somebody that I don't really know very well. Although she fundamentally really, really trusted you. So she wants you to know that she's sorry if that she gave that impression at any point when you thought she was backing off, and that she might not have trusted you in some way. She absolutely did trust you, and she wants you to know that 120%. And yes, I will. And she's talking about moving up the hills or walking up the hill, and I feel she's meaning that in two ways, both metaphorically, as in you've had a very steep hill to climb yourself in terms of your progress, your work, your relationship. In any one of these areas, it's been very difficult for you to feel that you're making headway. And as you take sort of 6 steps forward, or 6 steps forward, you feel you're taking 10 steps backwards. So it's a bit like this, real effort in climbing up a mountain. But she's also talking about climbing up the mountains literally, and how her climbing up a mountain used to give her that freedom and that space and that feeling of being in a wilderness when she was on her own and she could clear her mind. And she said that's what you need to be doing a lot more of now, clearing your mind and get, as I said with the other lady, she's getting rid of physical clutter. You, Mairead, are getting rid of mental and emotional clutter. And she says she's watching you from time to time. Yes, I will. Thank you. She's watching you from time to time, and she says you're doing an absolutely cracking job at this. All right. She's playing to me the Elgar cello concerto, and I don't know whether this is particularly relevant to you or whether it's a piece of music that you listen to or listen to with her, but she says it just generates so much emotion for you. And she said she understands in the last, say that again, please. She understands in the last couple of days how you've been feeling so down, and that by giving of yourself to this process of energy release, that you've been able to regenerate your own self-belief and your own self-worth to the extent that you feel ready to go out there now and really, really make a mark with the things in your life that are passionate for you. Yes, you're saying you understand all that I told you previously, and I hope you're still understanding me, Mairead, on those points, and particularly for the Elgar music, because that's very important that I should have said that to you. All right. Yes, I will. She's also telling me that she's very pleased now that she's been able to reunite with her mother, because she said her mother, when she was living, was always a very difficult person, and there was very little, they had very little in common on the earthly level of understanding. But now she can relate, and her mother can relate a lot more they can relate to each other's feelings, and they have a much greater understanding. I know you're saying, I know I need to do that, was for both of us. Thank you, Mairead. That's good to know. And I appreciate the feedback. That's really, really, really helpful. So that's basically what she wanted to say to you. And she said she had tried to come to you before through certain mediums, but she never quite managed it. So now she's thrilled that she's been able to make a contact. And she's saying, don't worry too much about the meeting or the appointment that you have next Tuesday afternoon, because it won't be as daunting as you think it may be. And she said it's all part of the process that Spirit are taking you through now to bring you into this greater contact with yourself. And she said you'll understand what that means regarding next Tuesday. So I'm going to leave that with you, Mairead, and I hope that that was really, well, it seems to have been helpful for you. So I'm very pleased. So thank you very much for working with me. And Richard, we'll move on to the next recipient, please. Thank you, Cheryl. That's really nice of you to comment on the reading. Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. Oh, can I work with Christine, please? Sorry, but go back. Christine Edie. Good evening, Christine. Thank you for your 4 hearts. And Spirit have just advised me to give you a tarot card here. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to cut the pack, and I work mainly with the Major Arcana tarot because that gives a big sort of overview of life and significant issues that are prevalent in your life at the moment. So I'm just going to, while I'm doing this, Christine, there's a gentleman trying to speak from Spirit who says that you would have known him several years ago, and that you would have identified with him, although he wasn't your blood brother. He was a gentleman, a young man who you would have thought of as a brother, or people used to call him brother. I don't know, he seems to have had that sort of familiarity with people where they said, oh, you know, my brother's here, your brother's here, your brother's here, in a very casual kind of way. And he said, I haven't done anything like this before, but he said, I heard about this and that you would be here, so I wanted to come in and say hi. And he says, I haven't really got anything much of importance to say, except tell her that brother, not meaning blood brother, as I said, but brother is here. So there must have been a nice sort of feeling around this friendship or this association with this man. And again, he tells me he was quite a loner, but that he had some special friends, and he wanted to do a lot with his life. He thought that he had quite a, you know, a way to go ahead of him in his physical life, but unfortunately he was a little bit wayward, he says, wayward and a bit reckless. So, and he said, I did burn the midnight oil and did a bit too much with the drink. So it wasn't, you know, everything that he thought might happen didn't happen on a physical level. But he said, I'm making up for it now because I've adjusted to Spirit and I'm really enjoying myself here and learning a lot of things that I didn't learn on the earth plane. So now, Christine, I've got your card. If you could give me any feedback on this chap that calls himself brother, that would be great. And your card, I've got the Emperor. Here's the good old Emperor. So this is a chap who's very much now in command. I mean, he sort of rules his roost, not in a selfish way, but in a way that's very self-controlled, that can be seen as a little bit sometimes overbearing or authoritarian, but he feels that he needs to do this in order to maintain law and order and control, self-control particularly, because self-control for you, Christine, I think is something that is very important. And it's important in terms of you feeling that you have been particularly specific in what you're saying, how you're carrying out what you intend to do, and you like people to see you as somebody who is in control, who is responsible, and responsible in the sense that you are not going to let anything go under the carpet. You're going to be very upfront about what has to be done, how it needs to be done, and the way of doing it in the most practical and economic way. So this is really the emperor. I'm trying to think of who the brother is. Okay, Christine. So I hope you can remember perhaps who the brother is. He was a very playful character. He was a very, tells me he was a very practical joker. So, I mean, he wasn't all sort of singing and dancing and look at me, aren't I funny? But he was somebody that would occasionally pull a rabbit out of the hat, metaphorically, so that you'd be surprised when he said something that made you sit up and listen. And he's talking about having worked in a shop or in a as a salesperson at some point. He was doing something or working with customers, and he, as I say, he's jumping around quite a bit, so he's not particularly specific about every aspect of his life. But yes, he's talking about his sort of reddish ginger hair as well. So that might be a trigger to remember who he was. Yes. Okay. Just to come back to the emperor, was that making sense to you, Christine? What I was talking about in terms of self-control and responsibility, and taking responsibility also for other people, sometimes to the detriment of yourself, and taking too much on in the way of implying that, don't worry, I can deal with this for you, I can help you sort this out. Whereas perhaps now it may be a little more prudent of you to say, actually, that's something that you could do that I don't need to be involved in, because you yourself have the ability and the intelligence to be able to work through that. And why don't you try it and see how it goes? So yes, the emperor is most definitely somebody that is there. Yes. Oh, you know who he is. You know who the young man is, the brother. Yes, good, good. Thank you. I'm glad we've placed him. And can you also accept the remarks I've been, or the comments I've made about the emperor? You can, Christine. That's good. Thank you very much. And I'm pleased that that came through very clearly for you. So please take that on board, Christine, and very best wishes. And I hope all goes very well for you in your future endeavors. Thank you. So, Richard, could I have another name to conjure with, please? Okay. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Andrew, Ashley. Oh, can I go with Ashley? Okay, good evening, Ashley. And thank you for the 3, 4, 5 butterflies. Very nice of you indeed. Yes, I want to connect to your grandmother on your mum's side of the family, because here's a lady who says that at some points in her life she was quite misunderstood. She had very clear kind of ideas of kind of right and wrong, and you know, she would say what she thought and when she thought it needed to be said. And she said, I wasn't always thought of as being terribly popular for having said that or behaved like that. But she said, as I grew older, I started to realize that there was a lot more benefit to be gained out of being more prudent and economic in my speech and the words that I used and how I delivered them. So she's making me smile as she says that. And she says, you can never be too careful with dealing with people, because you know, always expect the unexpected and never be too certain about predicting people's behavior, because invariably they surprise you and come up with something that you hadn't at all expected them to either say or be like. And she said that's been one of your main sort of learning experiences through life, that you haven't necessarily misjudged people too much, but you've put a lot of trust in people and then had it, you know, sort of reverberate upon you in sometimes not terribly nice ways. So she's saying, but you're a much better tactician now. Tactician, I like that word. So yes, you're being a lot more tactful about what you say, how you say it, when you say it, and to who you say it, and that's very good. Um, your grandmother talks about the fact that as she got older and got closer to passing into spirit, she used to have, first of all, very bad headaches, and then she used to have what she calls giddy spells. So she would suddenly feel, very giddy, and then she'd collapse. And a lot of that was due to blood pressure, inconsistency of blood pressure, very low blood pressure. And she said in the end it was the heart that caused her the biggest problem, and that was how she passed eventually into spirit with arterial problems and arterial congestion. So that's how she's identifying with me. She wasn't a terribly large lady or big physically, and I'm not saying she was terribly small, but she wasn't the sort of lady that you would expect to hear speaking in the way that she often did, which might be more consistent with a larger person and a bigger voice. So, as I said earlier, it was quite a surprise sometimes when people would get from her what she gave them in terms of her own feelings. Can you identify with any of this that I'm giving you, Ashley? It would be good to get some feedback here. Not said anything. Okay, right. If you don't recognize any information, Ashley, I don't mind you saying no, you don't understand, and then I can move on. But okay, so okay, yeah, I'll move on, I think, and try to get to as many people as I can. Thank you very much, Ashley, and let's go for another name, please, Richard. We don't do stars, right? Ash, we don't do stars. Richard is telling me we don't do stars, and that SPTV is 100% free. So please keep that in your minds. Thank you. Ah, Vicky. Yes, I'd like to come to Vicky, please. Hello, Vicky. Thanks for your hearts here. Very much appreciated. And yes, it's interesting as I link with you, Vicky, because I'm getting a young. Well, he would have been a young boy. I would put him at no more than about 14 or 15 when he passed into spirit, and he would have been the son of either a friend of yours or a work colleague of yours, because he said that he's been trying to contact his mum, and he wants her to know that he is absolutely all right, and he's playing and laughing and having a good time in his new surroundings. So I think in this case, Vicky, you're the chosen carrier of the message from this little boy to his mum. Um, yes, I will. Just slow down a bit and let me hear what you want to say. Okay. There were paving stones. All right, paving stones. He's talking about outside your house, or either your front path or the strip of pavement just outside your house, because he said there were paving stones there, or several stones that weren't um, part of a pattern. There were, I don't know whether they were put down incorrectly, or something about the pattern on the paving stones that isn't uniform. It's very odd. And that suggests to me that either he's visited your house at some point as himself in spirit, or that he saw this at one time when he might have visited your house with his mother. But it's very specific about these paving stones. So I would appreciate it if you could just confirm, yes, crazy paving we have outside. Good. Thank you very much, Vicky. That's good to know. And just want to get this pinpointed, because although you've got crazy paving, is there one stone that is slightly odd or out of alignment with the other crazy paving stones? Because that's what he's specifically showing me here. Doesn't matter if it isn't. Crazy paving's good enough, but I'd like to get it absolutely crystal clear here. Okay. He's also talking about the fact that your mother living is poorly, or she's had a condition, excuse me, that has been difficult to diagnose. In other words, I think there have been varying opinions, medical opinions about her condition. And you've been very attentive to her condition and the confusion that she has been going through connected with this condition, and the fact that also there have been certain circumstances or situations in the family that have not necessarily put people at loggerheads, but which have created waves. I'm going to put it like that, waves, friction. And it's this friction that's also been affecting your mum and the way that she's been unable to be completely finding peace within herself. Because, yes, okay, you're talking about the paving stone. Got an odd colour, but there's a couple. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to know about that. So if you can just confirm on your mum, please. I'm having that with my dad, not my mum. Oh, that's interesting. Right, because I specifically heard mum here. So you're having this with your dad, and I'm not getting out of this, but would that, presumably, that would be affecting your mum in some way, and your mum is being affected by what you're having in terms of friction with your dad. So if you can just confirm on that, because I know that your mum is unsettled, and she's also unsettled about this health condition or a physical condition that she has been experiencing for some time that hasn't yet been specifically diagnosed or may have. Oh, your mum's passed. Ah, okay, K. Right, she didn't tell me she'd passed, which sometimes happens. They don't tell you they passed, and they let you go through the whole rigmarole, and then suddenly you find out. Okay, so your mum's passed. So can you relate what I've been saying about your mum to how she was before the passing? That she had this condition that either wasn't diagnosed correctly or that there were various medical opinions about it, which never really coalesced properly. If you could just confirm on that, Vicky, that would be really, really good. And your mum talks also about a breathing problem that she had, and that how it was difficult to breathe towards the end, and how that breathing affected her obviously being able to speak properly. So things she wanted to say she couldn't say, which is often the case with the passing. But she wants you to know that everything that you thought she wanted to say, she actually did want to say. So you weren't mistaken about that. And Jerry. She's talking about Jerry, a man, or Jerry, that she's met in the spirit world. She talks about Jerry. And she also talks about, she said, yes, she never got answers. Thank you very much. And that refers to the medical condition. Thank you very much, Vicky. That's good to know. She said, now I'm in spirit. She said, I don't have to count the pennies and the pounds anymore because, that's all taken care of and we don't have any money to spend up here. So she laughs about that. And she said, I know it got difficult. Yes, I will, love. Thank you very much. She said, I know it got difficult towards the end of my life, finding, dealing with monetary issues and monetary problems. And she said, having these people always coming to me and saying, can I borrow £5 here, 10 quid there? And would you mind if I borrowed that until next Tuesday? And she said, it all got a bit on top of me. So she was a very generous soul, and she would really give her last, penny to whoever she thought needed it. But she said anyway, and she talks about that in relation to some financial. You're weighing up a situation at the moment, Vicky, financially. Shall we do this? Shall we do that? Shall we invest in this? Shall we invest in that? What do we do with this money? So she said it's a bit of a push-pull situation going on here. And she wants you to know that just follow your logic, follow your heart. I'm assuming that's your, I don't know why I'm assuming, but I think that's probably your partner or your husband in the photograph with you. And she also wants to say, tell him not to worry about something that's been giving him some problems recently in terms of his health, and that it's nothing serious to worry about. But he has been quite concerned, and that will resolve itself. So, right, that sounds like my mum, always a bank manager. Right, yeah, she did sound a bit as though she was, talking bank manager speak. So that's funny. You're saying, my right, she's been listening to mine and husband's conversations then. Well, it appears she has, Vicky. And not wishing to intrude, she says sometimes it's just, it's too overwhelming to resist the opportunity to do that. But she laughs about that. And she says she's met Mary in spirit as well. And she says Mary is completely well and walking about now and having the time of her life. So she wants you to know she's met Mary. She's met Steve in spirit, who is a friend of your husband, stroke partner. She's met Steve in spirit, and she wants him to know that Steve is okay and Steve is doing absolutely fine. So a little bit more information for you there. Anyway, that's really what she came to say. So don't worry too much about the financial tug of war here. That will resolve itself. Just follow your heart and be sensible as you always are, and that will clear. But she wanted you just to know that she's fine and she's having a great time, and that she's met the people that she mentioned, and no need to worry now because what is going on with your dad is resolvable. And she said you just have to give him breathing space to say what he feels he needs to say, and bite your tongue at the most appropriate time. And she said you will know what she means by that, biting your tongue. All right? But she said, give or take, everything's going along hunky-dory. And she's very, very pleased that things are working out so well, much better than they were 4 or 5 years ago. So I hope that that's making sense to you, Vicky, and it would be great to get your feedback. So thank you very much. She went to bingo with Mary. Steve was my husband's old friend. Oh, that's lovely to know that, Vicky. So yeah, so Steve's absolutely fine, and so is Mary. So lots of love to you both. Thank you, Phil, and thanks for coming through, Mum. God bless you. God bless you both. Thank you very much. Right, okay. Spirit are telling me to, or asking me rather, to do a tarot for the next person that I speak to. So if we could have some names, please, Richard. Okay. Great. Just before we do that, there's I don't usually bring spirit guides through on these occasions, but I have a spirit guide who is very much an Egyptian gentleman to the core. He had an Egyptian life. He's very much a figure of authority here. I'll just hold it. I'll just park him for a moment. Carry on, Richard. Thank you, because I think he relates to one of these people. Ah, Suzanne. Okay, Suzanne. I'm with Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. You would love a message, so you're just about to get one. And I love that picture of your cutie dog. He's absolutely gorgeous. So, Suzanne, what I want to say to you is not so much that I have people here from spirit that wish to reconnect with you, because I think you're used to getting messages from your loved ones in spirit. So they're saying at the moment that what I'm going to give you is more relevant. Oh, sorry, Suzanne Riches I'm talking to here. Suzanne Riches. So yes, Suzanne. So what I'm saying to you is more relevant now to your spiritual and physical personal development than it is to evidential contact with loved ones. So for some time, Suzanne, you've been sort of putting a toe in and out of either mediumistic or psychic development. You haven't really been doing this constantly within a group or a development circle, but you have been doing it on your own behalf. So you've been doing a lot of self-study about spirituality. You've been consulting books, you've been reading papers, you've been looking at the history of spiritualism, and you've been really trying to connect your thoughts and your feelings to the spirit world in a very, very regular and very specific way. So, if you could let me know and confirm that that is the case, Suzanne, that would be very much appreciated. And Spirit are just wanting to tell you that you're doing a very, very good job of this. They're saying it's not beyond the realms of possibility that you will join a circle of psychic development on a more permanent basis. But at the moment, you have a little bit more personal development to do on your own behalf because you're still lacking the confidence that you need to be able to enhance the mediumship when that starts to develop in the circle. And it will benefit you to be in a circle because that is where you will work with other people rather than this process of isolation that you've been doing in your attunement to spirit. That can continue, but your meditation and attunement will be something very different from the work you'll be doing in circle when you'll be relating to the other people in the group. So if you could let me know about that, please, Suzanne. And while I'm waiting to hear about it, I'm going to draw, I've got a pack of cards which are called Ascension cards by Diana Cooper. And these are quite, no answer, right, okay. Be great, Suzanne, if you could just say yes or no, or don't understand any of it, or yes, it preferably, yes, it does mean something. I'm just going to draw one of these Ascension cards for you, Suzanne, because this will give me an indication as to the way that your spiritual development is progressing. And I've got here the card of Lord Kumeka. And Lord Kumeka came from another universe to set the conditions for the golden age of Atlantis with Archangel Metatron. You're saying you have sat in circle before. Thank you very much, Suzanne. But I'm sensing that that wasn't for very, very long, that it was a little bit maybe daunting for you or a little bit, I don't know, intimidating in not an aggressive way, but in a way that you thought you were better off developing on your own for a period of time. Anyway, continue with this card. He has returned to be the eighth ray, a soul ray of purification, enlightenment, and communication. When you receive this card, you are on a quest for enlightenment. So enlightenment here is the key word, Suzanne. And this is what is you're getting from your attunement and your meditation and your link with spirit. You're getting this attunement, you're getting this enlightenment, which you're seeing the world in very different ways now to the way you were seeing it 1 or even 2 years ago. It's certainly taking on a new texture for you, the way you relate to people, your circumstances, your work. It wasn't for long. It wasn't for long. Now, what does that relate to? Oh, the circle. Thank you, Richard. It wasn't for long. No, that's the feeling I had. Good. So, yes, I really want your Egyptian guide here is the gentleman that just identified himself to me. He is the man that's going to work with you. You may already have been aware of his presence in your one-to-one attunement, but he is the gentleman that's going to guide you towards your circle for more practical work. And he talks to me about the fact that you've been waiting a long time for this. Yes, completely right. Thank you very much, Suzanne. He says you've been waiting a long time for this process of what you are calling your own personal evolution. And he said this is now arriving, and it's arriving in ways that are totally unexpected to you, like seeing people in completely different ways, having an awareness of nature, of just everything. Oh, light. He talks about your awareness of light, looking into the sky and being aware of different colors. The rainbow, for instance, when you look at a rainbow, it has a very, very profound effect upon you. And it also alters your energetic frequency within you so that you will feel when you've been exposed to sky watching that going through the same day or the following day, you're not aware of your guide yet. Well, he's here to tell you that you will be becoming more aware of him, because he says you have an interest, or yes, you have an interest in Egyptian matters or Egyptian iconography. or Egyptian travel or some form of connection with Egypt. Um, it's funny, he's talking to me about the film Death on the Nile, which was an Agatha Christie novel, which was made into a film with gosh, who was in it? Betty Davis, amongst others. But anyway, whether you've seen that and you had a sort of a moment where you just, boom, it's Egypt. There's something there about Egypt, the pyramids and the lions guarding the pyramids and the pharaohs. So I feel there's something there, Suzanne, that is relevant to your guide's presence. Anyway, he wishes to say that he will make his presence known in a much more what's the word? A stronger way than he has already. And he says you're able to sleep better now than you have been sleeping, and that's because you are much more at peace and acquiescent with yourself and with your life and the way it's progressing at the moment. It's this moment in time. So your affirmation from this particular card, this Ascension card, is I call on Lord Kumeka to enlighten and support me. I call on Lord Kumeka to enlighten and support me. Thank you very much for working with me, Suzanne, and I hope all goes well with your development and plans. Thank you. And if you give me any feedback on that, that would be great. Thank you very much. How long have we got, Richard? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming back in 2 minutes, folks. So see you then. Well, we have an advert break.
MySpiritualDirectory.com is one of the fastest growing online free listing service. Our search directory offers geolocation feature, rating ability, review system, map location, customer comment, YouTube video, gallery, social media sharing, direct contact with the lister, simple online booking and payment system. It's free to register and use. It even creates your own mini web page, which you can update at any time, and yes, it's still free, no monthly or yearly fees. 100% free. Creates your own profile page. Add social media and other links. Add a mini gallery and a YouTube video. Rating, reviews and comments. Includes online booking and payments. So, if you're looking for a medium or a reader, even a church, maybe a healer, or any other spiritual service, then visit myspiritualdirectory.com.
Rachel introduces her new show tomorrow night from 8 p.m. Rachel interviews some of America's well-known mediums and spiritual advisors.
And welcome back, everybody, and good to see you all again. So, Richard has asked me to announce that Emily Baker is our psychic artist, and she's on SPTV tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So do try and catch her at that time, and I'm sure you will be very, very interested in what she has to offer. So now I'd just like to do a little experiment where I give you three questions to answer. Well, it's one question, but there are three parts to it. And the first person that can answer that question and those three parts in the order that I ask them will be the person that can request from me a particular loved one in spirit that they would like to make contact with. And if possible, I will try to make a link with that loved one and identify them and give them a message and give you a message from them. So if you've all got a pencil and paper to hand, which you may not have, but it's not difficult to remember, this is going to be the question I'm giving you. Name the TV soaps that feature these characters in the order that I give them. Number 1, Marlon Dingle. Number 2, Sharon Watts. Number 3, Tyrone Dobbs. I'll say that again. Number 1, Marlon Dingle. Number 2, Sharon Watts. number 3, Tyrone Dobbs. So you've got to get the names in the right order, 1, 2, and 3. So excellent. Well done, Sarah. Okay, right. Okay, so can you get her on screen for me, please, Richard? Thank you. Hello, Sarah. Very quick off the mark there with the answers, and very well done. So you are the lucky winner, and you get to choose which person you would like to connect with in the world of spirit, who I will then attempt to contact. Remember, this is all experimental, so I cannot guarantee that we will get that person, but I will try my very, very best. And I've done this in church and at events before, and it's worked pretty successfully. So if you can let me know the person, Sarah, and then I will start to attune. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Lovely cat, or 2 cats. Beautiful. You'd like to hear from your dad, Sarah. All right. So I'm going to attempt now to contact your dad. Yes, he was, funnily enough, he was actually sort of there waiting in the wings, and he's very very emotional to contact you, because he said, first off, he said, I was completely unaware that I was going to go at the time when I went. It was not a foregone conclusion given the run-up of events to my passing. It certainly wasn't a foregone conclusion. He said that he was a man who had a real zest for life. He loved his contact with friends. He loved his family. He was very much a family man. He was never happier than when he had the family gathered around him at family events. He said, I would do anything for them. I would, be there to the nth degree to accommodate whatever they wanted. And he also talks about you have a brother living, because he talks about the brother. And he says that the brother was somebody that didn't always understand him, father, dad, and that he wishes that he had more time to get to know the brother, because that would have, he feels, have cemented the relationship a great deal more than it actually did. But he said, strangely enough, I feel closer to him now that I'm in spirit than I ever did before. It wasn't that he didn't like him, but he just felt that there was sort of an empty space there somewhere that needed to be filled. Yes, you're saying, Sarah, yes, we didn't know he was going. And he also talks, and he's getting very emotional because he's making me emotional. And I feel as though I always want to start to cry here a bit, because he said, he's taking me down to the river, and he's showing me a fishing line and a fishing rod. So I don't know whether this was him that was fishing, but he talks to me about the river, and he said the water, how he felt so relaxed when he was close to water. Thank you. He also talks about him discussing wanting to move near the water at some point, or leave where you were living and move towards the water. Thank you, Sarah, brother-in-law. Thank you. So I don't know whether, yes, that didn't ever occur that he got to make that move to the water, but he said, I can be near any kind of water that I want to be with now, whenever I want to be there. And yes, I know it was a pretty, because I'm getting a cancerous condition here, and I don't know whether that was something. It seems as if this wasn't diagnosed, this cancer, as soon as it could have been, or there was a delay in the diagnosis of some kind, because it was as though your dad went downhill a bit, and then he brought himself up again, and he seemed to be making good headway, and then suddenly, boom, and it was all kind of downhill from that point on. He talks about your mum having to sort out the financial situation which was in a bit of a mess, but which was put right. And he is pleased that everybody came together to work together as a team, and that there were no sort of loose ends in the end, that everything was tied up. Yes, I will. Bagpipes. He's talking to me about bagpipes because I'm hearing bagpipes playing in my ear. Now, I don't know whether that's an association he had with Scotland. I'm sure it wasn't him playing the bagpipes, but he talks about that. Yes, downhill, then better, then very sudden. Yes, that's what he said. So what are the bagpipes, Sarah? Because he laughs about the bagpipes and saying, oh, yes, okay, I will, thank you. He says it's more metaphorical than physical. He said there was a lot of hot air being given off by various people when he went to spirit, saying, I know what's best, I know what you would have wanted, you should do this, you should do that. And he said, your mum kept her ground. She stood her ground and she said, no, this is how it's going to be, this is what's going to happen, and this, and with your help as well. And he said you were of unbelievable help to everybody around your family circle when he passed. And he just gives you one big hug and says, he's talking about the little mouse that you had when you were a child. It looks like a white mouse with a very, well, it would have it had a longer than usual tail for a mouse. It's more like a rat's tail attached to a white mouse. But he said this mouse, and it had sort of like little pinpricks of red where the eyes should be. And he said this mouse was something that used to either be in your cot or used to be in your bed, and something that you were very, very fond of and very, very attached to. Oh, yes, about the funeral. Yes, thank you for confirming that, Sarah. And yes, he talks about the mouse. He talks about your love of horses and says that he shares that love of horses, and how he said you'll be amazed to know that in spirit he's able now to talk to horses and he can actually hear them as they speak back to him. And he said it's all done by thought transference. And as he mentions thought transference, he talks about a very long-standing girlfriend, lady friend, friend of yours, who he says you have this mental rapport with, where you can almost read each other's thoughts. You don't have to say words. It's so strong that you can just know what each other are thinking. And this friend of yours, you can't remember the mouse. Yes, always wanted a horse. I think you'll remember the mouse, or the mouse will come to light at some point. To go back to this friend of yours, she has been through quite a difficult time, and you've been supporting her through this difficult time. And she's starting to come out of the woods very, very gradually. But he says, all power to you, Sarah, for being there. And he said there again, it was a situation where you don't have to say very much. You're just there giving your energy to her, and she's taking that energy and reciprocating it back to you, because this is the wonderful process of energy exchange that you both have. So he wants you to know that he's been very much aware of that. He's also talking about a yacht or a schooner that I think, again, that's something that he wanted. Yes, very good friend of yours. Thank you. That's something that your dad wanted to do. He wanted to either own a schooner or a yacht and go out into the middle of the ocean and just feel that. Yes, thank you, I will. Just feel that connection with spirit, because he was such a spiritual man. And he said, I didn't really share a lot of the feelings that I had spiritually with my family, which I now wish I had done. But he said, Sarah knew the extent to which I was influenced, and yachts in Mallorca. Thank you very much. He said, Sarah knew the extent to which my spirituality was able to demonstrate itself to people within my circle, but hardly anybody else in the family really clocked onto that or recognized it. And he says, thank you, my darling, for being there to share your energy, your love, and your, more importantly, your wisdom. He quotes the word wisdom with me, because he said, look at that figure of the Buddha, and that figure of the Buddha is the gateway to your development into greater spiritual awareness and understanding. And he says that you will understand what he means by that phrase and that image of the Buddha. So yes, we were very close. Thank you for saying that. And he's laughing just as I leave. He's laughing and he says he was watching you trying to experiment with a new dish for dinner in the kitchen, and you thought it had gone horribly wrong. But when it was actually eaten and tasted, you were more pleasantly surprised than you thought you would be. And that was very, very recent, I'd say within the last few days. And also, don't worry about the lampshade in the bedroom, because the lampshade, the fixture is slightly loose, but it just needs a slight adjustment, and then it will be working absolutely fine. So that's the meal and the lamp, and then the light fixture, the light fitting as well. All right, okay, Sarah. So I hope that that's all making sense to you. And I'm just going to go for one more tarot card with you before we leave. So if you can just give me some bit of feedback on that, that would be absolutely great. So for you, Sarah, I love this. Haha, you're saying yes to cooking. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm sure you'll be trying it again, that recipe. So here we are, Sarah. I've got the Magician for you, which is a very, very upbeat card, which is really a confirmation of the fact that you really can do whatever you choose to do. You have the tools at your disposal. You have all the necessary equipment you need now around you in life and within your personal psychic spiritual toolbox to really now move ahead with great positivity and to surprise yourself more than anything at what you can actually achieve and what you have achieved, which you didn't think you would ever achieve. Because, yes, I will, so thank you. Because you thought that certain things were beyond your capabilities, and now you know they're not. And the Magician is saying, well, there you are. This is confirmation of the fact that you have all these tools at your disposal. And you've also dipped a little bit into astrology, and the Magician is encouraging you to go further with that and to pull out again more of your skills, because you're very quick thinking and very intuitive, and that would work very well with your astrology. I don't know whether you've had your birth chart done, but if you have and you do even know some fundamental astrology, my guide's telling me that Saturn, transiting Saturn in your chart at the moment, is aspecting your Mars, so that will temper your energy. That's also right. Thanks, Sarah. The Saturn will temper your Mars in your chart, and it will stop you jumping in where angels fear to tread, which is something that in the past you've been prone to, but which Saturn is cautioning you not to do at the moment, and to really conserve your energy, to conserve all that energy for the things that really, really matter in your life. And that's the keynote of the Magician and the keynote of this message. And as your dad waves goodbye to you and moves slowly back into the background, he shows me himself with his arm around you, and you're both standing on the platform of a stage where the curtains, it looks like the Royal Opera House with those beautiful plush red velvet curtains that come up, and you're both standing there, and that says to me that he is so proud of presenting you, his daughter, to the world and saying, this lady is the absolute pinnacle of everything that I believed in when I was in the physical body. And I wish you to applaud her and give her the credit she is due for the wonderful progress she has made throughout her life and continues to make. And he blows you a big kiss and says, God bless you, Sarah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity to work with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. And it's been a great pleasure to work here with you again and to meet everybody that's been on tonight. Thank you all. And very, very, very much I appreciate your feedback and comments. Yes, of course. And if you wish to contact me, you can find me on Facebook, and my Facebook page there is Phil Shaw Medium. That's at Phil Shaw Medium. And if you wish to email me, my address is Phil Esoteric, I had to think then, Phil Esoteric at gmail.com. That's Phil Esoteric at gmail.com. So those are my contact details, and I can also be reached at through the Wimbledon Spiritualist Church pages on Facebook, and I hope to meet some of you or connect with some of you again at some point in the very near future. And thank you all for your complimentary comments. Very much appreciated. God bless you all. Thank you.